welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we are going to be talking about El Clasico, the decisive La Liga fixture this Sunday, where Real Madrid know that they simply have to win. So how are things going to play out this weekend between Xavi and Ancelotti once again? Is Xavi going to be able to keep his really strong Clasico run going? Although there are big injury concerns on both sides, it has to be said, which could really impact Sunday's game at the Camp Nou. We are going to be discussing the full battle here today. It's going to be a fiery one, so come on and let's do it. Because I think when it comes to Barca, the first big question that you've got to ask heading into this game against Real Madrid is, well, what has really changed since 2 weeks ago now? Because let's not forget, in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg there, we went to the Bernabeu, plagued by injuries, no Pedri, no Dembélé, no Lewandowski on the day. Our attack was significantly weakened, and we had to change our approach. Xavi had to adapt his setup and really abandon some of his principles, and that's what he did to get the win, to somehow steal the victory in that first leg. Barca had less possession than Real Madrid, significantly less there. When do you ever see Barca in the 30s in terms of possession? We only had 2 shots on target. But hey, we restricted Real Madrid on the day to virtually nothing. They did not have a shot on target. You can see right here the kind of setup that we went with. The wingers were tucking in. We were really, really deep in the field. And let's not forget, at the very last minute in that game, Alonso had to come in for Andreas Christensen. And Alonso stood up well there. It was much, much easier for our defenders to defend with no space in behind them. We dropped really, really deep. But this time around, I doubt it'll be the same. Because when you are looking now at this particular Clasico in this very stadium, I think the expectations are always going to be different there. Playing in front of Barca fans at the Camp Nou, the expectation is that you're going to be in control. The expectation is that you have the ball and you are the team that's on the front foot, that you are taking the game to Real Madrid. I think that's what Xavi and I think that's what Barca will set up to do. Now, we have the big positive of Robert Lewandowski being back in the team again. He wasn't there, like I say, in the last Clasico. It's nice to have a vocal point in attack, and even though he is going through a difficult period, it hasn't been the easiest few months for him, he still remains a huge goal threat, the biggest goal threat that we have at Barca, and you know he's going to be absolutely desperate to make his mark in this game. He will want to score against Real Madrid at the Camp Nou. He'll be desperate for that, but the thing for Xavi right now is, in terms of creating chances for Lewandowski, we still have no Dembélé. He is not back for this game. We've known that now for a while. But not only that, we still have no Pedri. He is not going to return in time for El Clasico. And that right there, guys, is an almighty blow. Because all week long, Pedri's been training with the team. He's been working with the squad. He was fully on track to feature this Sunday. But in today's training session, he was not feeling good. The feelings there surrounding his recovery were not good. And the decision now has been taken that he won't play against Real Madrid. He's now going to be given that extra time off during the international break, and he's now not going to be going away with Spain either. And I do just think that's a huge blow, not only in terms of what we already know about Pedri. We're lacking his creativity, we're lacking his goals as well. Let's not forget about that. But I also think, given the fact we thought he was going to be there, Xavi has been training all week long with the plan that Pedri would be in his team, that he would be part of the setup against Real Madrid. And now at this very late stage to actually say he's not going to be, we've got to change quickly. Xavi has got to quickly adapt his plans without one of our star men. However, before we do get too downbeat about the injuries, because obviously right now it has not been going too well for Barca on that front, I would just like to point out, it's not exactly all rosy for Real Madrid either, because Karim Benzema did not train with the rest of the group today for Real. That is a big, big concern there for Carlo Ancelotti. Benzema did, of course, play in midweek against Liverpool. He scored the winner in that game, and it could only be a precaution now that he's not training, but it is not ideal preparation for him or for the team, and especially as well, given that he missed their last league game at the weekend. Benzema this season, he has had his injury struggles. There have been a game where he's been available. There has been the next game then when he's missed out. The injury problems have been very, very frequent for him, so let's wait and see whether he trains tomorrow and whether he can be available for Real Madrid in El Clasico. But if we do indeed have a look at how the two teams could shape up and really line up against each other on Sunday, we have to assume at this point that Karim Benzema is going to make his way back in there, that he's going to play that vocal point for Real Madrid. If not, Real would be in need then to find a sort of makeshift forward to come up against us in this game. Now, at centre-back, we hope that Christensen will be available. You know, we all expect him to be, unless there's a late change there like we saw in the previous game. Koundé is likely to play again at centre-back for Barça, because out on the right-hand side, we know the drill by now, guys. It's Araujo versus Vinicius. Now, that is a formula that has worked so well throughout so many Clásicos now, and there's no reason to change it. It's something that every single game we match him up against Vinicius and he stops him. So we should not divert away from that here. Koundé played really well at centre-back in the Clasico at the Bernabeu, and he should continue there. But like I say, there will be more space to defend in this game for Barca. We are going to be a lot higher up the field. Real Madrid then will be back in their shape, and it will be about protecting ourselves against those counter-attacks. Vinicius will have more space than he did in that Copa del Rey first leg, so it's going to be more of a challenge to keep him quiet. But we have players in this back line who are athletic and who can certainly cover in behind with all of that pace. And I think then when you move into midfield, it is going to be a different kind of midfield for Real Madrid than what we saw in that Copa del Rey first leg, because without doubt for me, Tchouaméni, surely he's going to come back in, because in that first leg there we put real pressure on Camavinga, and it was actually Toni Kroos. He was the man who was actually the deepest in that game in the first leg, so I think Tchouaméni will come back in, Modric and Kroos ahead of him, and then for Barca in midfield, Busquets, Frenkie de Jong, and I would say front Kessie. I wouldn't be playing Sergio Roberto in there, I wouldn't be doing anything at all like that. Of course, you could play Gavi in there, you could then play a natural left winger, but I don't really think Xavi is going to go down that route either in this game. I think Gavi will be off to the left-hand side, because I truly believe, guys, that Real Madrid are still not really sure how to deal with him. And I think especially here with Dani Carvajal, there is an opportunity for Barca to really target that left-hand side. Balde, we've got to get him forward more. We didn't really see it that much in the past few games. Barca have been on the back foot a bit more at times. We've got to get ourselves on the ball. We've got to get ourselves up the pitch. And if we can do that, then we can start to bring Balde into the game. Then Gavi can start moving inside, and then the spaces can appear. But I think also what we have to really recognise in this game, guys, is Rafinha. I think he is capable now of so much more. You look at the first leg performance in the Clasico at the Bernabeu, he didn't do enough in that game. Since then, we've seen him really come up clutch. And I think on this side here, up against Nacho, he can really get the better of him. There's an opportunity there to not only go outside him, we know that Rafinha likes to cut inside. We know as well there could be chances as well for Robert Lewandowski. And I think Rafinha will really benefit in this game from having that vocal point. If he can get the better of Nacho, if he can beat him there in those 1-versus-1 battles, let's get the ball in the box. Let's make sure that we can pick out Robert Lewandowski. And let's also not forget, there might be late runs as well there from Kessie. We saw that as well in the first leg. He could have easily ended that game with 2 goals to his name. He is capable of contributing, and we need to make sure that we're finding those runs. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm expecting a very balanced game. I'm expecting it to be really close on Sunday. I think if we'd have had Pedri, I would have had an entirely different attitude about this game. I really do believe then we could have targeted that right-hand side of Real Madrid a lot more. It could have been very different in between the lines, linking up with Lewandowski, linking up with Rafinha as well. Pedri can glue everything together. Without him, it's a lot more difficult. We are going to still be struggling to create. That's not going to be easy against Real Madrid. We saw that as well in the first leg without our best creative players. And ultimately, in this game, it is again going to be making our way through it, getting our way through this game. And if there was 1 or maybe 2 players that I would be looking at to make that difference, to really step up in the absence of some creativity, of some goal scoring, we need big performances here from Rafinha and from Lewandowski. Those are 2 players with the potential to do it, with the quality to do it. We've seen it throughout the season at different points from both of them. Lewandowski was electric at the start of the season. Rafinha has been coming up clutch of late. Let's see the 2 combine now. Let's see the 2 of them really go for Real Madrid, put pressure on their defence, and ultimately make them pay in El Clasico. So those there, guys, were some early tactical thoughts ahead of this Sunday's huge game at the Camp Nou. We're going to be talking lots more about this one, and the closer, of course, that we get, we'll get more of an idea of exactly what Xavi is going to do now without Pedri in his team. Please do let me know about that injury blow at the last minute. What do you make there of how we're setting up, how we're going to look in this game, and what are you expecting? There is going to be lots more on the way, and I thank you indeed, guys, for tuning in today and for really making the build up to these kinds of games very special. I will see you soon with plenty more. Thank you indeed for watching and for supporting. But until next time, as always, Vizca El Barça.